in my house and not go to work and not teach class. So this is the way this loop is working, like this, it's going this way. And then so the outside world, let's say this would then become the school and my job, youth and family, YFS. So I had some effects on the outside world here, on the school and YFS. Number one, Nice and Sonia and I know Lauren. I was trying to think of Leandra. Leandra. Sorry, I haven't seen Leandra but once. So I wanted to include everybody because Leandra, I'm sure, gets bored without not having her name mentioned. So, but yeah. So now Lauren and Leandra and Sonia, Nice, show up, and where's our professor? And tomorrow, youth and family, where's Taylor? So after a while of me not showing up for work day after day, not only is this car wreck going to affect me, now there will be no more job. So now I can't live without my car. Now I can't live without my job. This gets worse. You saw the negative feedback loop there. So let's erase this. Hopefully. Okay. Oh no, it's making it worse.
I didn't know you could write with that if you put it in the wrong slot.
What I didn't get to, I did that fairly simply. Because think, feel, do is a very common technique we use with kids, with adults. If you're a cognitive behavioral therapist, you will use think, feel, do. What I didn't include in that example is what's fundamentally important. I didn't get to my beliefs in that example. If you can get to a person's beliefs, you are doing some real therapy. Because this is what's actually influencing my thoughts, my feelings, my behaviors. And it's actually influencing what I see from the outside world. So if the car wreck led to me doing all those things, what would and you don't always get an underlying belief stated explicitly from your client. So what would be my underlying belief if I'm going to just shell out and not go to work and not try to get a different car and that? What might be one of my underlying beliefs?
Maybe that it's okay to stay at home when your car is not working and you feel sad.
Yeah, it's okay to stay home. People might understand. They know I love that car. It's okay to stay home. Maybe more significant. Maybe I'm a horrible driver. Maybe I got a phobia. Maybe I developed a phobia. I believe I'm a bad driver. And now that I lost my job, I'm stupid. I'm lazy. And so now what your beliefs do is start fulfilling this negative feed. So when I'm working with someone, when I'm teaching someone how to do therapy, especially on an individual basis, if you can get in here, not just at the thought level. Thoughts will give you a little window into the deeper beliefs, but all of these things, feelings and actions, are going to give you more of a window into these other deeper, I'm a bad person. Not only am I a bad driver, I'm a bad person. What are you going to be looking for here with me before too long? What are you going to be concerned about? What would be my diagnosis with all these internal beliefs? Depression, yeah. I'm looking depressed. I'm looking, if this guy's completely flaked out of his life, this guy can't be with us too much longer. It's time to start thinking. So I break that down to show you a little bit, because I'm going to use this model a little differently. But I want people to be able to use that model, and feel free to borrow this. Another way to use this is to put on this other side a particular person. See what the next slide is. So here, this kind of goes into it a little bit more. So let's say you're dealing with a marriage, and so it starts with this person lost their wife or husband and family due to an extramarital affair. So that then translates over here. If I keep living, I'll just mess up again, and then you have feelings of inferiority, sadness, grief, self-loathing, and apathy. You have actions of isolating and suicidal type behaviors. But what's driving that? What's driving that is that underlying belief, I'm a bad person. There's no saving me. That's a bad place to be. And so what happens is, when this person's isolating, you get family anger and rejection, as well as the beliefs in oneself perpetuate the negative thinking, leading to a pathological state. So you can see that this system maintains itself. It's a dysfunctional one, it's a bad one, but it's maintaining itself. That's where we need to think, at what point when we're doing therapy, where can we intervene on this, in this structure?
I think the first thing will be to kind of have them change their belief.
This is difficult work. That's exactly where we want to go. If we can get there, we can make the change. This will change. What's difficult is you have all of these things out here that are and out here that are reinforcing I'm a bad person. Nobody wants to talk to me. My spouse won't have anything to do with me. My kids don't want to talk to me anymore. I don't even want to see.
I have a question.
Yes.
So in this case, what would be the best approach to use in order to get to that core belief and be able to get the person out of it?
That is a good question, and that's why I use this model, because we have two different avenues. Actually, well, I guess we could actually have three, but when you're doing cognitive behavioral therapy, you can work with thoughts. That's the cognitive side of it. You can work up here, and you can also work down here with the behaviors. This is a cognitive behavioral model. So those are the two things. So what would be some things that you would want to intervene with this person to try to get this loop to change, which would then hopefully affect this thought that I'm a bad person? Because that's the target. You're absolutely right that that's the target.
Are you asking a question?
Yes. What would you do? What were some things you could do?
Well, change either one of those two that you have in green.
Okay, so how are you going to change that? Because that's what that person.
You could
comes-
have them stop isolating and go,
So give them an assignment.
right, to attempt to be around people that they had been around before, do things that they used to do.
Okay, yes. Okay, so using that motivation and everything. Who's
Yeah.
somebody you used to hang around that you used to have fun with? I used to hang around with Paul.
Or people that, care about them that they're shutting out currently.
So instead of isolating, we're going to, according to Lauren, we're going to find Paul. I just use a real specific example. So if we find Paul, and then Paul's over here, and Paul doesn't think he's a bad person or she's a bad person. So then you put Paul over here. Paul thinks, hey, you know, this person is fun. I think they're fun because they used to hang out with me and we used to play backgammon. I don't know. Who knows? So and then so they're feeling. You know, you could put another person over here. They're feeling concerned because they know that our client is really really down. But then their actions down here, if you know, these are thoughts again, thoughts, feelings, think, feel, and behaviors. Is this, okay, so so what Paul does is he plays games and hangs out. And what that does then, when the loop comes back around, you know, no, I think that I want to keep living. I'm not going to mess up again because I remember I used to have Paul as a friend in high school, and he accepts me. I think I want to keep living. And then so you got there. I'm not a bad. So just that one intervention, just that one brief push can make the difference. That's where CBT is a good model. Another thing, you know, if you're doing talk therapy, you would have worked on the thoughts.
Yeah.
You said, I heard you say, if I keep living, I'll just mess up again. I've got concerns about that because that, if somebody just always messes up, what does that say about them? Well, yeah, you got it right. I'm a bad person. Well, no. Let's think about this. You know, what are some other things that you've done that aren't bad? Oh no. Well, you know, what times have you spent with your kids? What times did you have that were good in your life? You know, and then start doing that talk therapy. So, yes.
Positive affirmation.
Yes, positive affirmations.
Too.
Absolutely. So there's a lot of things we can do. I know I went through, is that making sense? Does this model make sense to people?
Mm-hmm.
I want you to use this. I want you to take, if you take something from techniques from this class, take this and just start, and you don't have to show it to every client, but if you start using this and using something similar, it's going to help you work out the process of therapy and what to target. The next, this kind of goes into what happened then. So this is you as therapist. Empathic confrontation. So what would that word mean to you? Those two words together mean to you? Empathic confrontation.
Showing empathy and, well, confronting them.
Yeah. Confrontation is a pretty harsh word. Why are you so stupid? Why are you being so hard on yourself? You push a depressed person in that direction, you're going to have some bad results. But if you say, okay, well, what are some good things that you've done? Taking the phenomenological, that's a testable word. Somebody tell me what phenomenological means. It's a tough word, but you need to know it for your NCEs. Phenomenological, the worldview of your client. Every one of them is different. Phenomenological, unique. Taking the unique phenomenological perspective of the client. The therapist helps the individual reframe experience, noting faults in relationship, recognizing enduring strengths and qualities, focusing on continued and renewed relationships with families and others. You know, what happened that you wanted to go out and find a different relationship in the first place? Well, we weren't very close. We yelled at each other all the time. So does that mean that you're innately bad because you don't like being yelled at? No, you know, do whatever it takes. And then hopefully through that, the person says, I made a mistake. Their thoughts are, I can learn from my mistake and make things better. And then their feelings then are hope. Number one, hope. Love, happiness, joy. And then hopefully you get some loving, altruistic behaviors in a perfect world out of the person. And then, like Nye said, you get to the belief where they're not a bad person now, they're a good person. And now look what happens on the outside. Family and others respond differently to a renewed individual, which should reinforce positive changes. That becomes your new positive feedback loop, which will sustain itself. So this shows the model and the process through which we can make a difference. That's not necessarily one of your theorists. I'm basically combining, by showing that, I'm combining a lot of what we're going to talk about in a couple of minutes. But I wanted you to see it working, so it will make, what we'll talk about will be even simpler than what that was. Any questions on this before we take a little break?
It's just, this loop model is quite interesting because even in biology we have it in terms of how the body functions and specific things that happen within the body, how it regulates itself with the different things that happen with medication, hormones, and enzymes. So it's interesting to see that same model be used in counseling and still be effective in counseling issues in a different way.
Thank you. Yeah, it's definitely not completely novel, but it's hopefully taking something that we get very abstract. You think cognitive behavioral, man, I got to do a lot of work to get to their beliefs. It always helps us if we can see it. And it's closer to reality if we can see it. I still like, I didn't necessarily do it on what I've provided to you in the PowerPoint, but if you're doing this, especially in a relationship, like, I'll move back to that first slide because it has the least amount of information on it. Let's say we'll take the instance of the triangle, the triangulated parents, and you've got dad who's strict and mom who's permissive and daughter over here, and she started drinking a lot and staying out, and yet mom knows dad yells at her, so yeah, you can stay out, but you know, it's just, this becomes very difficult to maintain. So if mom and dad are at each other, this leaves the daughter, which who knows what that spelling is. Spell that a little better. This leaves the daughter out here suffering. So in this case, if we have the daughter with her thoughts, her feelings, and her actions, and we've got two different actions, we've got another, you know, another circle up here. We want that to converge to just one set of thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, because we've got mom and dad treating her differently. But if we can get these two to communicate and then compromise between permissive and strict, and you know what, between those two things, we're both trying to show the love for our daughter. So if you can get this to be the feeling, you know, they may have different beliefs, but if you can get this to be the feeling, then their thoughts and their behaviors, hopefully through therapy, are then going to be consistent to pull her out of dad hates me, or whatever it might be. That'd probably be her belief. Put that down in there. No, I'm going to take that back. Because what would a team think or what would a team believe if they think dad hates me?
But they're not worth loving.
Whoa! Bam! Nail on the head. Absolutely. I'm not worth loving. There's your belief. That's what we're trying to target. Dad hates me, so you feel sad, depressed, angry. And actions are use drugs. And probably some other things to go along with that. So if we can then get these two and to stop fighting and just get on the same page where you're showing the same thing between the two of you. If you're showing love, thoughts are, I love my daughter, or our daughter. I didn't spell daughter right. I love my daughter. I am worried about her. I am scared for her. But then hopefully your behaviors then become consistent. See, that's how you can use these things, these symbols and these models to start making change for your clients. So then their behaviors are consistent and dad starts showing more love. Dad, you can't just come down on her. You can't just yell at her and scream at her and tell her that she's stupid. You have to go do something with her. You have to spend time with her. Mom, you have to back Dad up, though, when he says she's got to be home at 10. You can't let her go. You can't let her go out. So, by those compromises, and obviously probably some work in therapy with the dad and daughter, Dad loves me. I am worth loving. Are the drugs going to continue? They're less likely to, because these feelings in that loop is going to change. I know that was quick. I hope that made sense. But anyway, that's how you apply that to substance use. All right, let's take probably 5 minutes, and then we'll jump in the rest of this. Yeah, I'm going to check the battery.
Huh? Are you tired?
Yeah.
Wanna go home?